uncertainty is not something to fear, what if it is also where possibility lives? Kent shares a perspective that completely reframes how we think about uncertainty. Most of us see it one way. We imagine that diagnosis and then we imagine, like, oh my gosh, everything that could go wrong, the loss, the disruption, what we can control, what we can't control. But Kent challenges that because uncertainty doesn't only carry risk, it also carries potential. After losing his ability to work, speak, and even eat for a period of time, Kent was forced to slow down in a way he had resisted for years. What followed was not just physical recovery, but a shift in how he saw his life. This conversation is about giving yourself permission to heal. It's also about letting go of the need to always be in motion. And it's about learning to ask a different question when everything feels uncertain. Not just what could go wrong, but what could go right.
When I had to take disability from work, and that was a huge thing. I fought that for years just because I'm like, no. And it was, again, maybe it was a little bit of me living in crisis mode and just, and letting up. And even when I finally went for disability, I'd heard all the stories. Oh, you need to get a lawyer. You need to do that. It's going to be really hard. Be prepared to be shot down. And I'm almost embarrassed to say, when I went for it, finally, they're like, yeah, the people that were assessing me for this, like, you qualified a few years ago. Why? And I was kind of sheepish, and I'm grateful that they did that, and I was lucky, and I'm sad because I know there are people that need that kind of help, and they're not getting it. So I am incredibly grateful to the universe that worked out. But giving myself that permission to heal, and slow down and do that has been part of the challenge for me. I think that as big as anything, as big as giving up my identity, was just that it's okay to not be on fire, and to let let myself heal. And and uh, and that has been really transformational. And but get but and 5 years ago, I was in a 5 years ago at this past October, I just had recognized that I was in a wheelchair. I was unable to speak or eat solid food because I had a severe pain condition that came out. It was related to MS. But for 4 months, I started in early October. Imagine going all the way through Thanksgiving and Christmas and into January, not being able to eat or speak. Uh, and I didn't know how long that was going to last. And they were giving me very heavy duty medications, and it wasn't doing anything. And that was what finally drove me out. I was teaching university, and that was the last straw. I was like, if I can't speak, I can't teach. And I can't sign up for classes for spring. So that was it for me. Uh, and that was a low point. But none of the but I recently noted that 5 years ago, even this month, 5 years ago, I was a married college professor living in Georgia, unable to speak or eat solid food, and living in a wheelchair. Uh, None of those things are true today. Everything has changed, and and that should have blown me up. Stress and all that is part of it makes MS worse. That's an acknowledged thing. It's an inflammatory thing, and multiple sclerosis is an inflammatory disease. Uh, but somehow, I've tried to reconstruct what allowed that to not blow me up. What has changed that is allowing me to heal? And it's a long list of things, from a strange green shake that I make and food that I eat, all kinds of stuff. But that mindset piece is one of the bigger ones. Is just allowing myself the mental piece to heal. And I hate to make that sound like it's easy and a choice and all that, because it's a difficult work. And I'm not all the way there by any chance. I'm not some sort of yogi. Uh, but it's and I still deal with pain. You see me, I'm kind of doing this because it hurts. It's just part of the deal. But it's uh, but I think that possibility, that sense of that's one of the things too that I sorry to retract here, but uh, the uncertainty that comes with these circumstances, and when the world blows up and AI has replaced your job or whatever, the political culture has gone sideways on you and all that, and then oh my God, that climate change and whatever you're scared of, and it seems like oh my gosh, all the uncertainty. I've come to hard recognition and appreciation that uncertainty swings both ways, and we don't usually think about that. And so uncertainty, and it's very easy to go, here's all the horrible things that can happen, but you can also say, here's all these wonderful things that can happen. What if those happen? Or and maybe the reality is going to be in the middle there, and maybe we have to burn everything down in our life and then rebuild. What if that is the transformation that we have to, and that's nobody wants to sign up for that. And I'm not recommending anybody burn their house down before they remodel it. That's not the way to go. But if it happens, that one of the questions was what do I wish people would ask? What do I think is there? And for me, when some of these things have happened, the questions that I find have served me best have been simple ones like, you know, what can I learn from this? What's good now, and or what could be really good, and how do I get there? And that kind of a mindset has helps me just to start being curious about that and digging into it. And I think maybe that to the creator kind of a mindset that you were framing, maybe that's part of it. Uh, but that curiosity and trying things and just being really attentive to how things work. What's the good part of this? What was good before? But the weird thing is uh, I would not go. I wouldn't if you came to me today and said I have a magic pill. You can take this pill and you can go back to your life as it was 15 years ago before you were in a wheelchair, or even 20 years ago before you were diagnosed with MS. I I'd kind of be hard pressed to take it, which is weird. And yes, there are things that yeah, I deeply miss hiking and mountain biking and some of those things. But uh, and I had wonderful experiences along the way. I've met great people. I'm grateful for the experience, but I'm a better person than I was. I've learned so much, and I wouldn't want to undo that. Uh, I recognize while it sounds like, oh, I was healthy. If I was diagnosed in 2004, does that mean I was healthy in 2003? No, no, it doesn't. That was I was on the taxiway. I was about to get to the good stuff or the bad stuff, however you want to look at it. But that I think it's been important to me. Yes, there are things that I miss and that I would like to rebuild and hope to restore some of the good things there. Uh, but I wouldn't take back the old life lock, stock, and barrel. It just doesn't serve me now. I'm not that person, and I don't want to be that.
Kid's story challenge is one of the deepest fears we carry. That uncertainty only leads to loss, because when everything changes, our instinct is to focus on what could go wrong. But as he shared, uncertainty swings both ways. It holds the possibility of things getting worse, but it also holds the possibility of things getting better in ways we cannot see yet. What stands out is not just what he went through, but how he chose to see it. He gave himself permission to slow down. He allowed himself the space to heal, and in doing that, he opened the door to a version of his life he would not go back and undo. That's what the stories in Learn to Love the Roller Coaster are about. They're about learning how to sit with uncertainty without letting it control you. They're about better questions. What can I learn from this? What's still good? And what could be really good from here? Because change is not something to survive, it is something you could learn to work with.